Well, it's a long-term interest that we didn't realise was going to become a project, but with really generous funding from Aviva, we've been able to buy a large area of land, 105 acres in East Baldwin, and we're going to turn that into a temperate rainforest.
And that's a sizable patch. So I suppose it would be better just to explain when we say Celtic rainforest, temperate rainforest, what do we mean by that? Because most people obviously think rainforest, they're thinking out in the Amazon.
Yeah, absolutely. So a rainforest is any forest where it rains a lot or over 1,400 millimetres a year. And in a tropical area, it's a tropical rainforest. And in a temperate area like where we live, it's a temperate rainforest. We get really good temperate rainforests on places like the north of California going up to Oregon, and you get really good rainforests in New Zealand. Parts of China, so where pandas come from, that's a temperate rainforest area. So temperate rainforests all over the world, but some of the best ones are here on the west coast of Europe.
So the sort of a Celtic rainforest, that's the sort of like a temperate rainforest, same thing?
It's absolutely the same thing, and sometimes they're called Atlantic oak woodlands, and they've got all sorts of names. But I guess the one that's sticking the most is the Celtic rainforest.
So what's actually involved in this project then? You've got the backing, you've got this huge area of land. I'm guessing, again, this, as you say, it suggested that it's a long-term plan. What's going to be involved?
Okay, so the most important thing is we've got a partnership with a fantastic organisation, the Isle of Man Woodland Trust. And the Isle of Man Woodland Trust are really doing the trees bit, so planting the trees, looking after the trees, making sure that that rainforest itself is created. The Wildlife Trust, what we're doing is the little stuff around it, making sure that the right wildlife is there, that the glades are amazing wildflower meadows and other habitats, and that the peat is protected, and that eventually grazing comes back in and the area becomes essentially an agroforestry project. Agroforestry just means woodland and farmland all in the same place.
So it's going to be the sort of place that will be, how should we say, people friendly, rather than a place where, like particular reserves where, in order to keep them in their state, it's best that people don't go?
I mean, people will be very welcome to come. I mean, one of the key parts of this site is its remoteness. It's very difficult to get to. It's a case of walking down from Windy Corner over moorland for about 20 minutes before you even get to the site. And the site, it's remote, it's quite rugged, so it's probably not a site that everyone would want to go to. But there is a certain peacefulness, a tranquility, remoteness about the site that I find really appealing. And I think there are people who would love to be involved with that sort of remoteness and a site where you can just get away from everyday life. So those are the sorts of people that we're just saying, if you feel as though you want to be part of the Rainforest Project, get in touch with the Manx Wildlife Trust. And some people might want to adopt an area. Some people might want to go down in small groups and perhaps do social tasks down there, conservation tasks down there. There may be artists around who might want to document the site and its changes and reflect on the site. There may be people who just want to help us by checking over the site, going down there once a week or once a month, making sure that everything's absolutely fine, walking round and enjoying the walk. So the kind of involvement you can have will be very varied, and of course you can go out with the Isle of Man Woodland Trust and help on the tree planting days as well.
So something for everyone in many ways. It's not just all hard manual graft after then. It's a lot of different sort of skill sets were required.
Absolutely, yeah.
How rare is that sort of habitat then, a Celtic rainforest on the island?
It's extremely rare, really. There isn't a lot of really good quality temperate rainforest. We do have some of the national glens that some of them are on the wetter side, so places like Faulty Will, Glen Helen, I guess they would be in the temperate rainforest zone. But one thing that I find really remarkable is that we have quite a few plantation areas, very wet plantation areas, which are essentially rainforests, but they're not native rainforests. The trees are from North America, so whilst you would think of a conifer plantation as quite a sterile place, these ones are exceptionally rich, because the trees are probably not doing quite so well in certain places. And there you have all the species you would expect from a kind of a basic rainforest, so mosses dripping off trees, lichens and ferns growing high up in the canopy. So maybe not brilliant examples of a Celtic rainforest, but we do have quite a few kind of proto-examples.
And so this is a project, and again, I think there's some sort of Celtic rainforest up around by the Ramsey Forest project, which has been running for a number of years.
Yeah, some of those areas, perhaps above where the Manx Wildlife Trust have ownership, but where we've worked with various landowners around Glen Aldin, they are real rainforest areas. Along the Mountain Mile there, what is developing there will be a kind of a scrubby forest, so kind of exposed and high altitude that the trees aren't going to grow very tall, but they'll be small, they'll be gnarly, they'll be really, really good for wildlife. Probably rainforest in its most sort of dwarf but interesting state.
Sounds like a terrific project. Another open-ended one, I assume, which will run and run. There's no fixed time on this. People want to get involved then, so get in contact with yourself or just through the Manx Wildlife Trust?
Through the Manx Wildlife Trust, we will be able to organise things like initial visits. So we've already had one group who have gone down and had a really nice evening, going down and having a look and having a chat with us. And so we'll take easy steps. We're not going to be planting the first tree probably until kind of October, November time. So we've got this whole summer to introduce ourselves to the site, find out a bit more about it, and for volunteers who want to get involved, to just help prepare the site for the tree planting ahead.